Hi, friends. My name is Jay Reginator, and I serve as the chair of the Board of Trustees for the Wesley Foundation at the University of Illinois, including the Wesley Student Center. And we're really excited to be able to share with you the first of our alumni series, Where Are They Now? And I'm here today with Olivia Harris, who's going to share with us. So, Olivia, I'd love it if you could share with us where you live now and a little bit about what you're doing.
Sure. So as Jay said, my name is Olivia, and I am currently living in the Chicago area. I'm actually in downtown Chicago itself. For anyone who's familiar with the city, I am right near Museum Campus downtown, so right near the aquarium and the Field Museum. Uh, and it is just a really happening part of the city to be in. But I like to call Chicago a small town because for the last 4 years, and even through the pandemic, I was living in Manhattan in New York City. And so to me, even Chicago, which is a massive city, I'm like, wow, the sidewalks are so big and there's not as many people here. And so I joke that I'm having my small town moment again after the kind of craziness that is New York City.
So, Olivia, you were a student at the University of Illinois. When did you graduate, and how were you involved with Wesley when you were a student?
Sure. So I was class of 2015, and I did my degree actually in a program that I don't think exists anymore. It was agricultural and environmental communication. It was a degree sponsored by the College of Media and the College of Aces, the agriculture college. And it was kind of specifically around issues of food and environment, things that touch everybody's lives and have a lot of science behind them as well. And so, as someone communicating either as a reporter, journalist, marketing professional in that space, you need to have both the scientific background and the communications background. So it's sort of this hybrid program that I really enjoyed. I got involved with Wesley during my second year, so my sophomore year. And the first thing I ever did was come to a Lord of the Rings movie marathon. That was what got me in. I am a big fantasy fan. And so when I actually heard from a high school friend of mine, Tabitha Nelson, she said, "Hey, we're doing Lord of the Rings movies. You should come hang out." I said, "Yes, absolutely." I was just, and it was a costume thing as well. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go into this great big building full of people that I've never met before, but I've got my elf ears on and my green cloak and like I'm ready to go. Um, so kind of a unique opening experience. But then after that, I was involved in almost every program Wesley had to offer, whether it was morning or evening Bible study time, book studies. Midweek worship was something we did during my time, and that was on Wednesday evenings, and it was sort of a student led, small, intimate worship service, which was something that was very different to anything I'd experienced in my home church as a kid. Um, Volunteer opportunities with Illini Fighting Hunger. What am I leaving out? I'm leaving out lots and lots of things. I did at the end of that sophomore year, I did join the peer ministers team. So I became one of the few student leaders who was kind of helping to plan and implement and run um, some of the programming for students. So that was a really great opportunity to step up, have a little leadership, really having fallen in love with sort of the Wesley way of doing things to then be invited to help be a host of these activities that I'd really enjoyed a lot was a great experience.
That's wonderful. I'm wondering if you have a story or maybe a favorite memory from your time at Wesley that you'd like to share with people.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, there are so many, but I will pull out one that's jumping to mind right now. Is I mentioned morning Bible studies. And, as a U of I college student, it's very common for us to try to avoid any classes before noon on any given day. The upperclassmen and lowerclassmen fight to try and get that perfect schedule that does not have a morning class in it. So you don't have to get out of bed early. But in my either junior or senior year, we decided to be absolutely crazy and have an 8 a.m. Bible study. which we hosted in the Etc. Coffee House. And it was just maybe 4 or 5 of us. I think we were all women at the time. And we just took turns bringing in breakfast. So someone would stop by Panera and grab bagels on the way, or someone, I think Tabby brought an egg casserole at least once because she lived fairly close in Urbana. And so it was just, even though it was something that was so antithetical to the college mindset of don't get up early, don't think too hard in the morning, we all decided that this was actually a really great way to start our mornings. One day a week was to come to the coffee house, have some coffee, eat food, and then I can't remember if we were going through a single book of the Bible. I think we might have been doing James, the book of James, that semester, and to just sort of take it piece by piece. And it was just student led, which was also very different from me. I was like, where's the authority figure in the room? Isn't there supposed to be someone who knows what they're talking about here? But again, my friend Tabby Nelson was leading that, and so she was looking at some resources and kind of bringing some discussion questions, and then we really just left it up to us and our own interpretations. And that was one of the first times I had participated in anything like that, where it wasn't just listen to me, some adult tell you what the truth is. It was like, no, let's together have differing opinions and different perspectives. Imagine yourself in the story at different points, and sort of come up with truth ourselves as just this small group of college women. And it was just such a wonderful experience.
Well, it sounds like that really helped you to grow in your faith. Are there other ways that Wesley helped you in your time as a student to grow?
Yeah, that experience in particular really helped me grow in my faith. And I think that Bible study experience is just one example of the many ways that Wesley encouraged you to think for yourself. Wesley was also one of the first places, I grew up in a church. I was raised in a Lutheran church, actually. And it was very welcoming, very open, but I was always one of the youth in that church. And so there were always others who were leading and in charge and sharing their thoughts, but you weren't necessarily encouraged to be their peer. Even when you got to high school, you were still kind of the youth level. And so I think Wesley was also the first time I ever encountered people of different faith backgrounds, just of different Christian denominations. And so just different traditions and experiences there. And also, several interfaith people, or people who are exploring faith, questioning faith. And so I think as a community, it was a very unique place to be able to say, here's what I think about this, here's how I feel about this, here's what my Lutheran background would tell me about this, what does your Methodist background tell you about this, or what does other mainline denominations or no denomination. And so I think just throughout, not only that Bible study, but all of my experiences at Wesley, that diversity was a great way for me to adopt and test and question and kind of build my own, not my own theology, I won't go far as to say that, but just to sort of have a broader experience and not just the one thing I'd always been told wrote.
Mhm. It's a hallmark, I think, of what people say when they talk about Wesley, both as the student center and as the church, is that it does expand your mind and your experiences, perhaps in ways that other ministries don't.
And I think uniquely because Wesley is a college campus ministry, right? We have to wave goodbye to our seniors every year who are graduating. Maybe a few of them stick around as graduate students, but not very often. And so then I think it was not just the diversity of the people who were there in any given one year, but between years. And as we cycled, and you got a chance to make, new friends, and again, bring in those other other experiences and their ideas for worship or their ideas for service. And so that even, our programming was changing year to year. It wasn't just we have midweek and we have Bible study and that's it and that's all we'll ever do. Some years we had, open mic nights. Some years we had trivia nights. I actually ran a Harry Potter themed trivia night, which many people thought, not many people, but we all kind of laughed at whoever might find that heretical that we were having witchcraft and wizardry in our great hall where we also host worship. But we just thought it was a really fun activity, just a great fellowship activity. And so just the way all the programming would change year to year as different student leaders came in and contributed their ideas, I think was also a really great benefit to me in my young life.
That's great. Uh, is there a specific way that you feel like Wesley has impacted you still today now that you're 8 years
Right.
out?
So I am actually in between faith communities right now. I mentioned that I was in New York City for 4 years, moved into Chicago summer of last year, and I'm still kind of shopping around and looking for a faith community at the moment. But I find that sort of Wesley is now the measuring stick that I compare every congregation I visit to, because sort of at Wesley I knew what I liked. I liked both our traditional and our contemporary worship services. And so anytime I kind of try one of those two flavors, I'm kind of always comparing it to sort of that really, I mean, truly sacred and blessed space that the Wesley Foundation Student Center and church were. Um, so I'm still looking for my faith home in Chicago, but Wesley is definitely with me as knowing what it truly means to be a beloved community, and that's sort of a standard that I'm looking for.
Excellent. Well, I'm so grateful for the time that you've taken to share with us today, Olivia. And I'm just wondering if there's anything else that you want to share with us about your family or things that alumni would be interested in knowing about your life and where you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. So you actually introduced me as Olivia Harris. I'm currently in the process of changing my last name to Olivia Archer. My now husband, wow, that's still a weird word to use, but my husband Max and I were actually married at Wesley this past September. Um, when we got engaged and started planning our ceremony and celebration, I said it's got to be at Wesley, because it was actually where we had our first unofficial date, where I invited him to come to the coffee house and play board games with me and a couple of other people. Board games are still to this day a shared hobby for us. um, and so yeah, so just having like our first unofficial date there, and that being the church home that I most connected with, I said that's where I want my wedding ceremony to take place. And because we had met as students on campus, it really felt like a homecoming for both of us. So Olivia Harris for only a few weeks more, in the process of changing over to Archer. So really excited to be in this next chapter of life. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Olivia, we're so glad that you spent your time with us today. And for those of you who have taken the time to watch our video, we hope that you'll join us for our next installment of Where Are They Now? And if you are an alumnus and would like to be able to share with us in this particular format, if you would reach out to Donna Camp, who is on staff at Wesley as our Director of Advancement and engagement, we would really appreciate that. Thank you so much.